Okay, I am going to run to the bathroom. I will be back. right. Hello, everyone. This is Venus Brown, and I am here with another reading from Margaret Atwood's book, The Testaments. I started to say something else, and it wasn't even the name of one of her books. So, The Testaments. We're reading The Testaments today. Anyway, we're going to be starting on, I think it's part 18, and we're going to go and read all the way through part 19. Both are not that long. Let me see here. Part 18. Let me at least get the titles of the parts, which I know I wrote in the in my post, but so part 18 is called The Wall. It's very short, one chapter. Part 19 is the NELLIE J Banks, which is the boat that both girls were just dropped off at. And I believe it's going to go through most of that ride on the NELLIE J Banks. All right. And let's see. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with the reading. All right, I believe we're on page 328. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Okay, so 328, The Wall. So this is another Aunt Lydia chapter and part, and it's another one where it is just one chapter. Again, I've talked about before, some people have complained about the lack of seeing Lydia in the show, but really in the book, she has these sporadic parts here and there in the book. It's not often, and every time she has a part almost, it is one chapter. So it's not like she's actually there that much even in the book. So it doesn't surprise me that they're taking a more hands-off approach for Aunt Lydia in the show. Yes, there are definitely more things they could do with her to enhance her character, enhance her story, to show the underworkings of what's going on. I think they've done a bad job of showing those underworkings of the things that she's actually doing. I understand them like holding back at the beginning, but I think once they showed that she had this journal that she was writing in, that she was taking down all the fucked up shit that these men were doing and that everybody else was doing, after that, to me, they had every reason to just start giving us more information. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a little bit here or there. Just a couple little things in one or two scenes showing that these other things are going on behind closed doors. And this is the kind of stuff it is. I think that has not been great in the TV series so far. Anyway, let's go ahead and start reading. And I need to make sure all my settings are right. I got my mic on, speakers are on, so I should be able to hear a chime if anybody leaves any chat messages. Although I feel like that last chime did not ring. But either way, I will try to check every now and then, and I should hear as long as my little bell rings whenever a chat comes through. And I think that has helped ever since I got that bell to work, that little chime. It's nice and loud, so as long as I have my speaker on, it really helps me to hear it so I can pay attention and go ahead and read whatever comes onto my chat screen. Whereas before, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't always notice that anybody even left a remark, because most of the time I don't get a lot of chats anyway. Now, let's go on to the chapter. The Ardua Hall Holograph. Aunt Vidala was discovered lying behind my statue. in a comatose condition by elderly Aunt Clover and 2 of her septuagenarian gardeners. The conclusion the paramedics came to was that she'd had a stroke, a diagnosis confirmed by our doctors. Rumors sped around Ardua Hall. Sad shakes of the head were exchanged, and prayers for Aunt Vidala's recovery were promised. A broken Pearl Girl's necklace was found in the vicinity. Someone must have lost it at some point. A wasteful oversight. I will issue a memorandum about vigilance in regard to those material objects. It is our duty to safeguard. Pearls do not grow on trees, I will say, even artificial ones, nor should they be cast before swine. Not that there are any swine at Ardua Hall, I will add coyly. I paid Aunt Vidala a visit in the intensive care unit. She was lying on her back, with her eyes closed and a tube going into her nose and another one going into her arm. "How is our dear Aunt Vidala?" I asked the nursing aunt on duty. "I have been praying for her," said Aunt Something. Aunt Something. They named somebody something. Aunt Something. Like, I will say something or another when I don't remember somebody's name. Aunt Something or another. Some dude or another. Like, anyway, I can never remember the names of the nurses. It is their fate. So, Aunt Something. So maybe that's exactly what she was doing, is saying Aunt Something, because she can't remember their name. All right. It is their fate. She's in a coma. She's in a coma. That may aid the healing process. There may be some paralysis. They're afraid her speech might be affected. If she recovers, I said. When she recovers, the nurse said reproachfully. We don't like to voice anything negative within the hearing of our patients. Seriously? Whatever. They may appear to be asleep, but frequently they are fully awake. And that is true. That is true. They are frequently fully awake. But the idea that you're not going to say anything negative around your patients. I guess the doctors and nurses might have a thicker moral code than some of these Gileadians, but yeah, wow. All right, I sat beside Vidala until the nurse had gone. Then I made a rapid inspection of the pharmaceutical aids available. Should I up the anesthetic, tamper with the tube feeding in her arm, pinch off her oxygen supply? I did none of these. I believe in effort, but not in unnecessary effort. Aunt Vidala was most likely negotiating her exam from this world all on her own. Her exit. Aunt Vidala was most likely negotiating her exit from this world all on her own. Before leaving the intensive care unit, I pocketed a small vial of morphine, foresight being a cardinal virtue. So she was basically punched in the throat, I believe, by Jade / Nicole / Holly / Daisy, which at least knocked her out. If she did it good enough, it could have freaking crushed that shit, like severed her spinal cord, caused permanent paralysis. But if she didn't do it good enough, it could have just knocked her out, given her a damn sore throat, definitely messed her up for a while. I find it very amusing that they labeled it a heart attack or a stroke or whatever it was. Instead of finding out that, oh yeah, I would imagine also that eventually that area is going to start to bruise and they're going to start to see the actual like wound from what actually put her out. And I don't remember exactly how this goes, but I'm not counting on her not eventually waking up and trying to get out what actually happened. So, anyway, let's continue on. While we were talking our lunchtime places in the refectory, Aunt Helena commented on the absence of Aunt Victoria and Aunt Immortelle. I believe they are fasting, I said. I glimpsed them in the Hildegard Library reading room yesterday, studying their Bibles. They are hoping for guidance during their upcoming mission. Commendable, said Aunt Helena. She continued her discreet head counting. Where is our new convert, Jade? Perhaps she's ill, I said. A female complaint? I will go see, said Aunt Helena. Perhaps she needs a water bottle. Doorway C, is it? How kind of you, I said. Yes, I believe hers is the garret room on the 3rd floor. I hoped Nicole had left her elopement note in a prominent location. Aunt Helena hurried back from her visit to Doorway C, giddy with the excitement of her discovery. The girl Jade had eloped with a plumber named Garth. The plumber named Garth. Oh, I love it. Aunt Helena added, she claims to be in love. She's in love with Garth. Okay, all right. That is unfortunate, I said. We shall have to locate the pair, administer a reprimand, and make sure that the marriage has been properly performed. But Jade is very uncouth. She would not have made a reputable aunt. Look on the bright side. The population of Gilead may well be augmented by this union. But how could she have met such a plumber? Said Aunt Elizabeth. There was a complaint about a lack of bath water this morning from Doorway A, I said. They must have called in the plumber. Clearly, it was love at first sight. Young people are impetuous. Oh my gosh. This story cracks me up. But I could see somebody believing it. Still, it cracks me the fuck up. Love at first sight to the plumber named Garth. Okay. No one in the hall is supposed to take baths in the morning, said Aunt Elizabeth. Unless someone has been breaking the rules. Breaking those rules. Terrible. That is not out of the question, unfortunately, I said. The flesh is weak. Oh, yes, so weak, Aunt Helena agreed. But how did she get out through the gate? She doesn't have a pass. It wouldn't have been allowed. Girls of that our age are very agile, I said. I expect she climbed over the wall. We continued with lunch, dry sandwiches, and something ruinous that had been done to the tomatoes, and a desert of runny blancmange? Blank. I think blank is white. White mange. Anyway, white cheese, maybe? Of runny blancmange. And by the end of the humble meal, the girl Jade's premature flight, her acrobatic feat of wall climbing, and her headstrong choice to fulfill her womanly destiny in the arms of an enterprising economan plumber were general knowledge among us. So, I find it a little interesting. There's this kind of parallel, reflective nature to this story versus the story that happened in Handmaid's Tale with Nick and his very, very young wife who ends up falling in love because Nick isn't fucking paying any damn attention to her in the first place. She's getting no love from him and no attention from him, and she's getting slighted by him for getting into his shit, stuff like that. And she meets this guy, and they pretty much right away fall in love. and they fucking take off. They take off, and eventually her dad turns her in, and her and the guy she takes off with get executed by being drowned with ball and chain in a pool. Just terrible. But anyway, the beginnings of the story, similar. The main difference, though, the main reason I think that they're not executing these two, and they did execute the other two, is that Nick's wife was married to him. They were already married. It's like a cardinal sin to them. It's the reason that they make these girls that have sinned by divorce or by cheating or anything like that be handmaids. Why they didn't make her a handmaid? Don't have a clue, because they had no way of knowing if she was fertile or not until they found out whether she was able to have a kid. But regardless, they nixed her. They're not talking about nixing this person because neither of them are married. So as they see it, they can justify it by fulfilling God's destiny of having more children and having a family or whatever. And like has been stated by multiple people, there's no way she could have really been an aunt. She was just not suitable to that job. Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and get started with NELLIE J. Banks. Now, here before we start, so NELLIE J. Banks, like I said, is the boat that she was left at. This is the boat that is supposed to get her from, I think it's the Penobscot River in the Penobscot Bay out to the ocean and then up to Canada. But things are going to get rough. The whole idea of these girls making this trek mainly by themselves, yes, they have people that are transporting them and stuff, but it's a dangerous freaking trek, whether you're in the water or not, whether you're on land, in the water, whether you're crossing guard points or not, it's dangerous. And I think I said this on the last one, that when, like, almost every time that June was making some attempt to get out of Gilead, or to get her kid out of Gilead, or get other people out of Gilead, it was like towards the last arm of the trip, when they're trying to get over the border. That's when shit always seems to, when hell always seems to break loose. Helicopter shot out of the sky, people caught running up to the border. This is gonna get bad, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna see at least some of the rockiness of this storyline in this reading. Not necessarily this chapter, but the next chapter. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with NELLIE J. Banks. Transcript of Witness Testimony 369B, Chapter 66. We pulled up beside the ship. On the deck were 3 shadows. A flashlight shone briefly. We climbed up the rope ladder. Sit on the edge. Swing your feet over, said a voice. Someone took my arm. Then we were standing on the deck. Captain Mishamango, said the voice. Let's go. Let's get you inside. There was a low hum, and I felt the ship moving. We went into the little cabin with blackout curtains on the windows and some controls and what was likely a ship's radar, though I didn't have a chance to look at it closely. So, believe it or not, these are supposed to be blackout curtains. They don't black out anything, but that is because they are so old. These curtains have been in this house since we moved in well over 20 years ago. So that's how old they are, and they have like that blackout ability has definitely started to just go away, erode, whatever you want to call it. And now they're just like, they dim things a little bit, but they don't really blacken anything. So, anyway, let's continue on. We went. No, I already read that part. Glad you made it, said Captain Mishamango. He took our hands. He had 2 fingers missing. He was stocky, about 60, with tanned skin and a short black beard. Now, here's our story. Supposing you're asked, this is a cod schooner, solar, with fuel backup. Flag of convenience is Lebanon. We've delivered a cargo of cod and lemons by special license, which means the gray market. And now we're heading back out. You'll need to stay out of sight during the day. I heard my contact via Bert, who dropped you at the dock, that they're bound to be looking for you soon. There's a place for you to sleep in the hold. If there's an inspection, Coast Guard, it won't be thorough. It's guys we know. He rubbed his fingers together, which I knew meant money. Have you got any food? I asked. We haven't eaten much all day. Right, he said. He told us to wait there and came back with a couple mugs of tea and some sandwiches. They were cheese, but it wasn't Gilead cheese. It was real cheese. Goat cheese with chives. See, like, something like goat cheese, I would think they should be able to make in Gilead fairly easy. Like, there are certain kinds of cheeses that are not that hard to make. And you add some freaking herbs and spices in there, and it can taste pretty good. So, them using fake cheese with their going green and going all natural seems so absurd to me. Anyway, a kind Melanie had liked goat cheese with chives. Thank you, said Agnes. I'd started eating, but I mumbled thanks with my mouth full. Your friend Ada says hello, and see you soon, Captain Mishamango said to me. I swallowed. How do you know Ada? He laughed. Everyone's related around here, anyways. We used to go deer hunting in Nova Scotia together back in the day. So they're getting further and further out, and they're getting closer to people that are actually more the way that things used to be. Further and further from the Gilead grip on how they act and behave all the time. And these are people that are more likely to be involved with Mayday. I think the previous person, like, they're just being paid, so they're doing it because they get paid for it, even though they feel it's dangerous. This person is like, no, like, I knew these people. These people are my friends. We work together. And so they're more entrenched in Mayday. They're more a part of it, not because of just the money, but because it's part of what they want to do. We reached our sleeping place by going down a ladder. Captain Mishamango went first, turning on the lights. There were some freezers in the hold and some big oblong metal boxes. On the side of one of the boxes was a hinged flap, and inside were 2 sleeping bags that didn't look very clean. I guess we weren't the first people to use them. The whole place smelled like fish. You can keep the box door open as long as there's no problems, said Captain Mishamango. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. We heard his steps receding. This is kind of awful, I whispered to Agnes. The fish smell? These sleeping bags. I bet they have lice. We should be grateful, she said. Let's go to sleep. Hold on. My God, love tattoo was bothering me, and I had to lie on my right side to avoid squashing it. I wondered if I had blood poisoning. If so, I was in trouble because there was definitely no doctor on board. So maybe that is where she starts to get sick. Because I knew somebody got sick and probably had an infection. So now I'm thinking it's like jogging my memory, the whole infected tattoo thing, which makes some sense. Oh yeah, what I was gonna say, um, he was talking about them like getting a nap. She wanted some food because they hadn't eaten in so long. Like they have been on multiple trips. This trip that they've taken, it's probably got to be well into the day because they've been on like 3 branches of their trip so far. The initial drive, the bus, and then the truck drive over to the boat. So it's probably well into the day. They've got to be pretty freaking drained, even though they're just sitting in the vehicle. Like, just sitting in a vehicle for hours is draining. It is exhausting. And it tends to be hard to sleep in those things. So, at least for a lot of people, it's definitely hard for me to sleep in running vehicles. Sometimes I can do it, but sometimes it almost seems impossible. But yeah, they're going to be hungry because they haven't eaten all freaking day. They're going to be tired because the whole trip is draining, and all the excitement of what they're doing and the anxiety of what they're doing has got to also be draining. All right, so back to the story. We woke up when it was still dark because the ship was rocking. Agnes climbed out of our metal box and went up the ladder to see what was happening. I wanted to go too, but I really wasn't feeling well. Yeah, so that tattoo's definitely infected. She came back down with a thermos of tea and 2 hard-boiled eggs. We'd reached the ocean, she said, and the waves were rocking the ship. She'd never imagined waves that big, though Captain Mishamango said they were nothing much. Oh, God, I said. I hope they won't get any bigger. I hate throwing up. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to get a lot worse. And also, like, the feelings that Jade is having about, like, feeling sick and ill and stuff like that, that could be attributed to just feeling seasick from being on the water. But I think the fact that she distinctly said something about the tattoo bothering her and that she could have blood poisoning cues into me that this is probably not just seasickness. This is that wound infected, and that is kicking in. That is causing her to feel ill. And things are about to kick up. So she's already not feeling good. She already likely has an infection. She's probably got a pretty bad fever, or at least getting ready to have a pretty bad fever. It's going to put her in a bad state when things are really getting rocky. So, anyway, let's move on. Please do not use the name of God as a casual swear word, she said. Sorry, I said. But if you don't mind me saying, supposing there is a God, he has totally effed up my life. I mean, that's not wrong at all. She was just living a normal everyday life, not knowing any of this shit that's going on. Like, she knew about Gilead, but definitely didn't know these connections. Then her freaking family ends up in this shit storm because people are after her, and then they both get killed. And she is motherless and fatherless. All of a sudden, she is learning all this stuff about her actual beginnings and that those aren't her parents. Like, she's been through tons and tons of shit in a very short amount of time, and now she's on her way back from a fucking strange country that really imprisons women for the most part, trying to save trying to save herself and her sister, trying to take down Gilead. Like, that's major. That's a lot. So, yeah, they definitely effed up her life, whether you want to attribute it to God or Gilead or what. Life is definitely effed the fuck up. I thought she'd get angry then, but all she said was, "You are not unique in the universe. No one has an easy time in life, but maybe God has effed up, as you put it, your life for a reason." And I can hardly fucking wait to find out what that is, I said. The pain in my arm was making me very irritable. I shouldn't have been so sarcastic, and I shouldn't have sworn at her. "But I thought you grasped the true goal of our mission," she said. "The salvation of Gilead, the purification, the renewal. That is the reason." "You think that festering shit heap can be renewed?" I said. "Burn it all down." So, because they're coming from very different positions, Agnes was not born. I mean, technically, she was born where she was. Just Gilead took over where she lived. And she was raised in this Gilead thing almost her whole life. Whereas Daisy was raised a semi-normal life in Canada. That's what she knew. So they're both looking at this a very different perspective. And to Daisy, Gilead is just a fucking flaming heap of shit that is not worthy of salvaging. It needs to be fucking burned down. And I think that's how many of us feel. But those people that are living in it, they're not likely to feel that way. They're likely to feel that, oh, we need to fix it. We need to make it better. But that's because they know nothing of the outside world. They have intentionally been made ignorant by not allowing them to know anything really about the outside world other than distorted versions that they get to hear from Galadians talking shit about the rest of the world. They don't get real news. They get filtered news. I mean, we all get filtered news, but this is like very propagandized and very filtered, like ultra filtered. Okay, now, where was I? "Why would you want to harm so many people?" she asked gently. "It's my country. It's where I grew up. It's being ruined by the leaders. I want it to be better." "Yeah, okay," I said. "I get it. Sorry, I didn't mean you. You're my sister." "I accept your apology," she said. "Thank you for understanding." We sat in the dark silence for a few minutes. I could hear her breathing and a few sighs. "You think this is going to work?" I asked finally. "Will we get there?" "It's not in our hands," she said. So really, like, I think Agnes is so immature in some ways because she has not been around. She has not been out in the world. She has not been out of Gilead. She has not had experiences with certain things. And she's so inexperienced that she cannot spot that her sister is sick right now. That's what's going on. Her difference in behavior, the things she's saying, the way she's acting is because she is very ill. And she doesn't realize that yet. She's going to, but she doesn't realize it yet. So anyway, let's go on to chapter 67. Transcript of Witness Testimony 369A. And I also think, like, the previous chapter, it almost should have been done by Agnes, in Agnes's perspective. but for some reason they did. I think because Nicole was starting to get sick and it was starting to affect her. So that's why that chapter went the way it did. It did seem more like of what's going on with Agnes and less of what I would expect to be Nicole's narrative, because Nicole is already like going in and out. She's already not feeling well. She's already feeling different, and things are just different than usual. So maybe that's why I felt like this almost sounds like it should be Agnes's narrative, but instead it's Jade / Nicole / Holly / Daisy. By the beginning of our second day, I was very worried about Nicole. She claimed she wasn't ill, but she had a fever. I recalled what we'd been taught at Ardua Hall about caring for the sick, and I attempted to keep her hydrated. There were some lemons on board, and I was able to mix some of their juice with tea and salt and a little sugar, which is a good idea. Like, not just when you're sick, but when you're dehydrated, anything like that, where you can't take down food, where food isn't, where food is just coming back up, anything like that, you need some liquid and you need some salt and sugar to kind of keep things going. Since you're not likely to be able to take in a lot of food, you're going to get whatever nutrients you can from that. And something like lemon, it's got or juice with lemon, tea, anything like that. It's got acid in it. It's got the sugar, it's got the salt, all of that, which should help with a variety of things, because just drinking water leaves out certain things that are very important when you're really sick or dehydrated like that or can't eat a lot. Anyway, I was finding it easier now to go up and down the ladder that led to our sleeping quarters, and reflected that it would have been much harder in a long skirt. Yes. It was quite foggy. We were still in Galadian waters, and around noon there was a Coast Guard inspection. Nicole and I shut the door of our metal box from the inside. She took hold of my hand, and I squeezed it hard, and we stayed absolutely quiet. We heard footsteps tramping around, and voices, but the sounds dwindled, and my heart stopped beating so quickly. Later that day, there was engine trouble, which I discovered when I went up for more lemon juice. Captain Mishamango, I keep saying mango, but it's more like mango. Mishamango, I think. Anyway. I think because I was using the word mango to enunciate how I think it might be pronounced, Mishamango, seemed worried. The tides in this region were very high and fast, he said, and without power we'd be swept out to sea, or else we'd be drawn into the Bay of Fundy and wrecked on the Canadian shore, and the ship would be impounded and the crew arrested. The ship was drifting south. Did this mean we would be taken right back into Gilead? So I was looking at the map last time. I'm going to look at it again, because he said that they're nearing the Bay of Fundy, and I do remember seeing that when I was looking at the map last time. And this is a different map, because I think I either closed the previous tab or I changed it to a different page. So let's go ahead. We're looking for the Bay of Fundy. Bay of Fundy. And I'm pretty sure that's how it's spelled. Bay of Fundy. Let's look at the map. Can we get the full map? This, okay, let's see. I'll do it this way. There. Okay. Bay of Fundy, right here. Okay, so they were... They were in DC. They went to Portsmouth. Then they went to... I think it was over here. This river and bay over here. And now they're trying to avoid getting swept into the Bay of Fundy. Okay. So does that mean they're going to try to go around Nova Scotia or up to Nova Scotia? I would think. I guess the concern is that they might come aground too soon if they're in the Bay of Fundy, especially with the rapids and stuff. Because if they could just come up like this way and then just make it over here, I would think they're out of the Galadian territory and in the Canada territory in New Brunswick. And I was also going to comment, so the area that they came out of, if this is it, yeah, this area that they came out of, it reminds me a little bit of the Sebastian Inlet. Not completely, but it's an inlet. And we like to go to the beach there because there's the inlet part that is like all nice and calm. It is blocked by the main part of the ocean, so it's much calmer, it's much shallower, it's nicer. But then once you get out of that inlet part, you are in the ocean, and the waves are like just so dramatically more intense than they are outside of that. So that's what I'm thinking that the ship captain is talking about. Like, things are getting crazy, the waves can get very intense, and if they're already getting intense here, then how bad are they going to be out here? And if he cannot control whether the ship is going inland too much, then that could cause them problems and cause them to get too close to the coastline before they are out of the Gilead area, which you don't want. All right, let's go ahead and get back to the story. Okay, yeah, I finished that part. Did I? I don't feel like I finished it. Yeah, okay, I said I get it. Sorry, I didn't mean... I accept your apology. Oh, maybe I did finish reading it. I could hear her breathing, a few sighs. You think this is going to work? I asked finally. Will we get there? It's not in our hands. So yeah, I did read that. I don't always remember things very well. All right. Last chapter, chapter 67, transcript of witness testimony 369A. By the beginning of our second day, I already did read that part. It was quite foggy. We were still in Galadian waters, and around noon, there was a Coast Guard inspection, which I already read that part too. How far did I get? The ship was drifting south, which means it's going down. It's going backwards, basically. And that's not good. The tides in this region were very high and fast. Without power, we'd be swept out to sea, or else drawn into the Bay of Fundy and wrecked on the Canadian shore. The ship would be impounded and the crew arrested. But they'd at least be out of Canada. I think he's just trying to make sure that they get to where they're actually supposed to be, because this is the gray market, so they are illegally transporting goods. So he doesn't want to get caught by the Galadians or the Canadians, because what he is doing is illegal, even if Nicole and Agnes were not on the ship. All right. I just had to like establish this in my head better. The ship was drifting south, which means it's even going further off direction than what I was thinking. Did this mean we would be taken right back into Gilead? Frightening. I wondered if Captain Mishamango was wishing he hadn't agreed to take us. He told me that if the ship should be pursued and captured, and we were found, he'd be accused of woman smuggling. His ship would be seized, and since he himself was originally from Gilead and had escaped from the Gilead national homelands via the Canadian border, they'd claim him as a citizen and put him on trial as a smuggler, and that would be the end of him. We're putting you in too much danger, I said when I heard this. Don't you have an arrangement with the Coast Guard about the gray market? They'd deny it. There's nothing in writing, he said. Who wants to be shot for taking bribes? For supper, there were chicken sandwiches, but Nicole wasn't hungry and wanted to sleep. Are you very ill? May I feel your forehead? Her skin was burning hot. Oh yeah, I gotta put my speaker back on because it shut itself off. I said that the other day. This speaker, after a while, it will time out and it will shut itself off. And I think it's like when I'm using it or whatever, or when it thinks I haven't been using it for a while. So I don't know what it considers actually using it, because there's some things I can do and it will stay on for the whole time I'm doing it. But then if I'm like just sitting here with something going and letting it go and letting it go and letting it go, even if I'm playing from it or something else like that, it will cut off after like an hour or two or something like that. Anyway, Her skin was burning hot. I would just like to say that I'm grateful for you in my life, I told her. I'm happy you're my sister. Excuse me, goodness. I am too, she said. After a minute, she asked, do you think we'll ever see our mother? I have faith that we will. Do you think she'll like us? She will love us, I said to soothe her, and we will love her. Just because our people are related to you doesn't mean you love them, she murmured. Love is a discipline, like prayer, I said. I'd like to pray for you, so you'll feel better. Would you mind? It won't work. I won't feel any better. But I will feel better, I said. So she said yes. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Nothing like a little sickness or illness or injury to make somebody that you newly learned is family but don't really have that strong connection to them to actually bind you a little bit, bond you better. Dear God, I said, may we accept the past with all its flaws. May we move forward into a better future in forgiveness and loving kindness. And may we each be thankful for our sister. And may we both see our mother again and our two different fathers as well. And may we remember Aunt Lydia, and may she be forgiven for her sins and faults, as we hope we may be forgiven for ours. And may we always feel gratitude to our sister Becca, wherever she may be. Please bless all of them. Amen. By the time I'd finished, Nicole was asleep. I tried to sleep myself, but it was stuffier than ever in the hold. And then I heard footsteps coming down the metal ladder. It was Captain Mishamango. Sorry about this, but we need to offload you, he said. Now, I said, but it's night. This is where I'm like, oh fuck. Sorry, Captain Mishamango said again. We got the motor going, but we're low on power. We're now in Canadian waters, but nowhere close to where we're supposed to take you. We can't get to a harbor. It's too dangerous for us. The tide is against us. He said we were off the east shore of the Bay of Fundy. All Nicole and I had to do was reach that shore, and we'd be fine. Whereas he couldn't risk his ship and crew. Nicole was sound asleep. I had to shake her awake. It's me, I said. It's your sister. Captain Mishamango repeated the same story to her. We had to leave NELLIE J. Banks right now. So you want us to swim, said Nicole. We'll put you in an inflatable, he said. I've called ahead. They'll be expecting you. She's not well, I said. Can't it be tomorrow? Nope, said Captain Mishamango. The tide's turning. Miss this window and you will be swept out to sea. Warmest clothes. Be on deck in 10 minutes. Warmest clothes, said Nicole. Like we brought an Arctic wardrobe? We put on all the clothes we had. Boots, fleece hats, our waterproofs. Nicole went up the ladder first. She wasn't very steady, and she was using only her right arm. On deck, Captain Mishamango was waiting for us with one of the crew members. They had some life jackets and a thermos for us. On the left side of the ship, a wall of fog was rolling towards us. Thank you, I said to Captain Mishamango, for everything you've done for us. Sorry it's not as planned, he said. Godspeed. Thank you, I said again, and Godspeed to you. Keep out of the fog if you can. Great, said Nicole. Fog, that's all we need. It may be a blessing, I said. They lowered us down in the inflatable. There was a little solar motor. It was really simple to operate. Captain Mishamango said, power, idle, forward, reverse. There were 2 oars. Shove off, said Nicole. Pardon? So more of like Nicole knowing more of the world, but Agnes not like, what do you mean shove off? Push our boat away from the Nellie. Not with your hands. Here, use an oar. I did manage to push, but not very well. I'd never held an oar. I felt very clumsy. Goodbye, NELLIE J. Banks, I said. God bless. Don't bother waving. They can't see you, said Nicole. They must be glad to be rid of us. We're toxic cargo. They were nice, I said. You think they're not making big piles of money? The NELLIE J. Banks was moving away from us. I hoped they'd have good luck. I could feel the tide gripping the inflatable. Head in at an angle, Captain Mishamango had said. Cutting straight across the tide was dangerous. The inflatable could flip. So somebody is like pinging me. It's not a phone ring though, so I will get it later. But there has also been somebody on Facebook harassing me, and me harassing him back because what the hell? Like he came onto my account from some other post trying to like continue an argument with me that he thought we should be having. And he's been badgering me ever since then. And I keep like telling him what I think of him and cussing him out and shit like that. So, and instead of blocking him like I probably should, I just keep arguing with him. And my sister-in-law keeps arguing with him also. Because he is being an ignorant piece of crap, in my opinion. Anyway, let's see. And he keeps complaining that I'm calling him names and that she's calling him names. I'm like, you did this. You came onto my account, onto my posts to start a fight, and now you're mad that you got what you actually came here for. It's absurd. Anyway, but that's what I'm thinking that might be. It's possible it may be something more urgent, but I'm almost done here, so it'll be fine. I could feel the tide. Oh, yeah, and I'll say it in a minute. I could feel the tide gripping the inflatable, head in an angle, Captain Mishamango had said. Cutting straight across the tide was dangerous. The inflatable could flip. Hold my flashlight, Nicole said. She was fiddling with the buttons on the motor, using her right hand. The motor started. The tide's like a river. We were indeed moving quickly. There were some lights on the shore to our left, very far off, very far away. It was cold, the kind of cold that goes right through all your clothing. Are we getting there? I said after a while. To the shore? I hope so, said Nicole, because if not, we'll soon be back in Gilead. We could jump overboard, I said. We could not go back to Gilead no matter what. They must have discovered by now that Nicole was missing and had not gone with an Econo man. We couldn't betray Becca and all she had done for us. It would be better to die. Fucking hell, said Nicole. The motor was caked. Cacked. The motor was cacked. Okay, I don't know what cacked is, but... Oh no, I said. Can you... I'm trying. Shit and fuck. What? What is it? I had to raise my voice. The fog was all around us and the sound of water. Electrical short, I think, said Nicole. Or low battery. Did they do that on purpose, I said. Maybe they want us to die. No way, said Nicole. Why would they kill the customers? Now we have to row. Row, I said. Yeah, with the oars, said Nicole. I can only use my good arm. The other one's like a puffball. And don't fucking ask me what a puffball is. So yeah, Nicole is getting sicker. She's getting more delirious. She's getting more short-tempered. And like less willing to just like go through all the motions that she would if she were feeling better. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the reality of what happened because of the tide coming in, because they know that the boat was already being sent south, the wrong freaking direction, and they weren't able to get to where they're trying to go. They put them off the boat thinking that it will be safer for both of them. They will be able to get to the coast. They won't be on a ship that is already considered illegal. And they'll be considered refugees, basically. They'll be considered Gilead refugees. Whereas if they were on this boat, they'd be caught, they'd be arrested, they'd be part of this crew that was engaging in illegal behavior. They wouldn't just be refugees. They would have to go through all this other shit. And it would put their whole crew at risk. It would put them at risk. But they were not counting on the inflatable that they used having the motor go out on them. That makes it much more dangerous than it originally was going to be. It's bad enough that it's an inflatable, but I imagine that it's a big enough, strong enough inflatable. I don't know if it's like the ones on cruise ships, but it still should be good enough to get them where they need to be. Had the motor, like they were thinking it would be much safer for them to get around on a small boat than on this big heifer, and they'll be on their own, so they'll be seen as refugees rather than somebody on this illegal boat doing illegal shit. So they send them off. The big boat has to go wherever the heck it's going to go so that it doesn't get caught by somebody that's going to arrest them. But they don't have to go as far out. And if the boat is still being pushed south, it's not as bad of a problem because because they're just trying to get somewhere that they know that they'll be okay, still engaging in this gray market stuff, yet getting the heck off to the shore. Now the girls, though, because the motor stopped, they're freaking stuck. They have to row this boat, and I can tell you, Agnes having no experience rowing a boat could be a issue. It could be a big issue. The first time I ever had to row a boat was in Girl Scouts in one of the canoes. And at the beginning, we were just rowing in circles because we didn't understand the movement of the oars with the movement of the water and stuff. It took us stopping, like she was, for the girl that was with me, she knew a little bit of something, but she was yelling at me and arguing with me at first. So it took us stopping, me telling her to stop yelling at me, and her like explaining things so that I could really understand exactly how I needed to be rowing and how she needed to be rowing so that we could get the boat moving in the same direction instead of in a circle. So yeah, it could be an issue, and especially they're in a very rapid water area. So yeah, that could be a problem. But even if they were both very good at this, it could still be a problem because they're in an inflatable with no motor and they just have the oars and they're in very rocky water. I don't know about rocky, but very wavy water. And the Bay of Fundy is not little, it is big. So even though they're not in the middle of the ocean, it still can get really bad, which I'm pretty sure it does. Anyway, it's not my fault. I don't know such things, I said. You want to have this conversation right now? I'm fucking sorry, but we are in a hot mess emergency here. Now grab the oar. All right, I said. There, I have hold of it. Put it in the oarlock. The oarlock, this thing. So, and because Nicole is really ill right now, her temper is very short, so she doesn't have the patience to deal with the reality that this girl is new to this. She doesn't know what she's doing, and it is going to be confusing. So she's yelling at her, which I think that was kind of like the situation I was in Girl Scouts. Like my partner was yelling at me, and I didn't know her very well either at the time. So she's yelling at me and she's barking instructions, but the instructions don't make any sense to me, and I'm just confused. So, like I said, I had to like stop the conversation, slow her down, and get her to like actually explain things calmly and coolly in a way that made sense before I could get a good grasp on what I was supposed to be doing and what I was actually doing wrong. Which I don't think she really told me what I was doing wrong. I just figured out what I was doing wrong based on what actually was working. Anyway, the oarlock, this thing. Now use both hands. Okay, now watch me. When I say go, put the oar in the water and pull, said Nicole. She was shouting. I don't know how. I feel so useless. Stop crying, said Nicole. I don't care how you feel, just do it. Now when I say go, pull the oar towards you. See the light? It's nearer. I don't think it is, I said. We're so far out, we'll be swept away. No, we won't, said Nicole. Not if you try. Now go and go. That's it. Go, go, go. So yeah, you can hear just how frustrated Nicole is, and she is ill. So she does not have the patience to deal with it, and she knows that they're in an emergency situation, and the longer it takes for them to get this going the right way and to get them doing nice strong pulls through the water, the more likely that they are going to get set out to sea. So she's really trying to get Agnes to follow her instructions, stop asking questions, stop insisting that you can't do it and just do what I say, like, because she doesn't have the patience for it. And I get that. And it is very important. They are in very rocky waters and it is getting very bad. And Nicole is very sick. And she is not going to be able to help Agnes like this for much longer. So, not great. Not great. Okay, so that's all the reading for today. And I think I've said enough to start to like intro what's going to be happening on Sunday when we start reading. When we read on to the next part and the next chapters. Let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead to my schedule because I'm still going to be doing these the same day and the same day that I usually do, Sundays and Tuesdays. But I have a little bit of adjustment up here. I didn't write everything, but Tokyo Ghoul, I'm still doing the 2 weeks off. So this, I think it's this Friday and next Friday. It might have been last Friday and this Friday. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was last Friday and this Friday. So after this Friday, maybe the next Friday, I will start doing Tokyo Ghoul re-episodes again. But right now, I'm taking a 2-week break because I don't have enough of them done. And we're getting ready to start on vacation. So I want to be able to have everything coming out every Friday like it's supposed to. So I'm taking these 2 weeks to get everything done like I need to and get it all scheduled. House of the Dragon, I'm doing live streams, but I don't know if I'm going to have access to it when I am in Ireland. That's where I'm going for 2 or 3 weeks. So we'll be going to Ireland. If I can access House of the Dragon, I may do live streams. It will probably be on Wednesday or Thursday while we're out there. Right now I'm trying to do them on Tuesdays, but it will probably be late Tuesday. Maybe late afternoon, maybe late evening. It may be the next morning. It may be Wednesday, but it depends. Because I am still working on it. I did my reaction. I wrote down notes. I have images all picked out. I still have to do my my breakdown and then do my live stream. So that will come later, either later on today, tonight, or tomorrow morning. We'll see. Anyway, the other thing is that I am going to start putting out reactions to A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. I did live streams to it when it first came out. Now I have reactions that most of them are done, and I'm going to put those out once a week with the House of the Dragon videos, although I'll probably put them out on Fridays instead of Tuesdays. So Fridays, and I'm probably going to start that this Friday. The Knight of the Seven Kingdoms series or season is a little bit shorter than the House of the Dragon season, so I didn't start it right away. I'm going to start it this week, and then it will probably finish a week before the finale or something like that. So I'll do Knight of the Seven Kingdom reactions every Friday, starting this Friday. I will try to do House of the Dragon breakdown live streams on Tuesdays, except while I'm in Ireland, those may end up on Wednesday or Thursday, unless I can't access it. If I can't access it in Ireland, I cannot do the live stream until I come back home. So we shall see how that goes. Hopefully I'm able to access the show somehow. But I don't know. I don't know if we'll have HBO or anything like it over there that I can get a hold of it. So it's something we'll have to figure out. But I think that's it. So we've got the Testaments on Sunday, Tuesdays. We got Tokyo Ghoul. We'll be going back to every Friday. House of the Dragon will be on Tuesday or Wednesday unless I can't access it. And Night of the Seven Kingdoms reactions will be every Friday. And that is all I have for you. I will see you when I see you. Bye.